we're back. Another episode of the Clone Wars Fan Show. Brought to you by Star Wars Newsnet. Here we are. Today we're talking Season 7, Episode 4. What's the name of this episode? Unfinished Business. That's right. Woo! Where are we at this week? Where are we at? So, we got to rate this thing. That's how we start every show before we get into the spoilers. We give it that number rating. I don't like numbering things, but you know what? You got to do it. We rate out of clones here, right? And I have only given the episodes 7 5s and 8s. That's it. And I was really having a hard time trying to figure out where does this fit in. It doesn't go below 7.5, doesn't go above an 8. So I had to choose one of the two. And then I remembered, no, I don't. I could put a different number up there. I'm going 7.8. I'm going right in the middle. I couldn't decide. I couldn't lean towards that 8. I couldn't lean towards the 7.5. So 7.8, it's right in the middle for me. Not a bad episode. There were times when I was thinking, this is really cool. I really like this. And other times I'm thinking, okay, let's move along. I don't really know what the point of all this is. Like, is it to make Echo, to give Echo a place, or I don't know. Sometimes it was very confusing. You know what? Let's just move into the episode portion. Let's get into it. So the narrator comes in on this episode, and he basically confirms everything that I was talking about at the end of the last episode. I don't know if it was meant to be clear or not, but you're not supposed to know where Echo's loyalties lie. And like I said before, that was kind of confusing on the last episode, but we get our answer right away, right? And then we go into the episode where it seems like the Bad Batch is not confident with him, as a person. They don't know. He's been hooked up to the separatist machine, if you will, for a long time, and he could turn on us at any second. Now, this is where the story is a little weird for me, because I'm not really sure where this ultimately goes. The only thing I can assume is because the caption at the beginning is trust earned in another is, or trust earned in another is trust earned. It must be trust in another is trust earned. I must have typed that wrong. But the point is like when you believe in someone, you get it back or whatever. I think we already trusted Echo. So I don't know what the point of an episode where we're like, but he could be the bad guy really holds up. I don't know. Like, because he wasn't the bad guy. He never was. So what was the point in driving a suspicious route? The only thing I can say is that they had to set up his moving into the Bad Batch. They knew that by the end of this episode, he was going to be one of the Bad Batch. So he had to earn his place in the Bad Batch. You know what? That's what I'm going to go with. That's what I think is the point of where they were headed with that. Now, this is just a random thought, but I thought this was sweet. They're going up, they're headed towards the separatist ship, right? And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, they do this like invert move and they land on the bottom. I think that that's something that they don't really explore too much in Star Wars. They do sometimes. It's very rare, but every time I think it's really cool when they have this sort of thing where like they don't pay attention to like gravity and space, because that's, or not gravity, but like the way we focus our world. Like we think this is up and this is down. You know what I mean? I like it when they're just aware that, yeah, that doesn't matter. So they just like play with that. And this is another one of those cases. And I think it's also interesting. I just picture myself like in the ship and you're like turning it, but theoretically nothing is happening in your ship and you're just watching everything else outside spin. It's like you're controlling the outside world. Stuff like that is so cool. And I love seeing that. And I'm glad to see when Star Wars embraces it. Now, this is where I don't have a good answer. I don't know this to be true, but okay. So I noticed these early versions of Y-Wings flying around in this episode. And I am not a ship guy. So I'm pretty sure that one of you could put in the comments below, fill me in on how this stuff works, but these are supposed to look like early versions of Y-Wings. And to me, in my head, I'm thinking, I've seen these before. Are these from Revenge of the Sith? And this is like, yeah, this is how close we are. They would be using these models. I feel like in Revenge of the Sith, they were like, oh, these are predated Y-Wings. People will get a big kick out of this because they're like early versions of something that we see later in the series. But like, I was this the first time we've ever seen these ships, or have we seen them before? Were they in Attack of the Clones? Have they been in Clone Wars before? Fill me in. I don't know. I thought they were cool though. I liked seeing that. It popped out to me. And speaking of cool things, how cool is it when they jump down, Mace Windu and Obi-Wan Kenobi jump down, and Mace is just standing there with his purple lightsaber, and he's giving this like monologue. I loved this. I was like, this is awesome. He stands up in front of this whole group of people, and he's like, hey, here's the situation. I'm way better than you. He says, I've killed 100,000 battle droids at this point in the war, and I'm not slowing down, basically, to paraphrase. And I don't know. I was like watching it, and I'm thinking, this is so cool. I want to pause it and start writing this, remember this scene. But then I just couldn't. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to watch this whole thing. I just watched him all the way through this speech, and it's just, Mace Windu is such a cool character. And a part of it, I don't know what it is, but it's like the purple lightsaber thing. I got my Galaxy's Edge lightsaber, and it's purple, and I don't, it's not because of Mace Windu, but I think like there's something really cool about this Jedi standing there, and he's got this purple lightsaber, and he's not the only one, but like practically the only one that has that color, and it just sets him apart. And he's standing up there, and he's like, I've killed 100,000 of you, and I'm not stopping. And I'm just like, this dude's cool. This dude's cool. I love that. Now, that being said, he's standing in front of like a mass army of droids, and they all start shooting at him. And it's not just him, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi too. So they're shooting in this general direction. And I'm thinking, I know the droids are supposed to be bad shots, but there isn't any two droids in that whole room that don't manage to get off a shot that he would like have to be blocking one and the other one would get him. Like, I look at Order 66 and you see Jedi Masters who like were trying to deflect a couple bullets and they got shot by a couple other ones. Now, I know those are like precise shots. The droids aren't supposed to be precise shots. I don't know. Something about this. But then I notice later, all the clones come down, and not one clone is deflecting bullets, but none of them are getting hit. So I'm like, man, so it must just be that the droids really, honestly, legitimately have that terrible of aim. And okay, I'll believe it. But you got to think that the Jedi are almost at this point, they're not deflecting ones that would have hit them. Like, oh, this guy's shooting at me, let me deflect the bullets. But it's more like when somebody throws, like your kid or something throws like a ball and it's like way off and you have to like reach for it. I think it's kind of like that. They're like kind of reaching to like knock them back as they're not getting anywhere close, but they're using the bullets coming at them as advantage to shoot back. Why am I talking about this? This is too much detail. But that's how I felt when I was watching the episode. I was like, they're standing in front of a giant group of droids and nobody's getting hit. I don't know. It's one of those things, right? It's Star Wars. But you got to look past it. Droids are bad shot. The Jedi are deflecting the bullets. Maybe they're even using the Force to deflect. I don't know. Whatever. I know I feel like I'm being nitpicky, but I also got to point this out too. Why is Trent still taking orders from the algorithm, right? Okay, so has not the point of the last 3 episodes been, oh, we had this really cool system worked out. It was this clone, he was tied up, he was doing this algorithm thing, and they were giving us all the plans, and it was a perfect strategy. Boom, right? Well, guess what? it's gone. I mean, they made it very clear, like, Wat Tambor, and it was like, oh, the clone's gone. This is going to suck. I mean, did he hide that information? I felt like it was pretty clear that I think he even told Trench, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't understand why in this episode, like, if they weren't clear that this clone had been taken, right? Then I would understand they go back to the pot and this is the time. And Trench even says, he goes, the algorithm's never been wrong before. So it almost makes it seem like they're totally unaware that the clone was out. This gets into a bigger point later, and I'll get to that. But why are they still using the algorithm? So he uses the algorithm and it fails. And then they're like, oh, okay, well then we just won't do that anymore. And it's like legitimately a threat to them. I don't know. It just seems weird, right? Don't they know to not that isn't hooked up? They even make it a point in the episode where they're like, no, you can't send the signal from here. You have to send it from the place where you used to be, which everybody in the Separatist army knows that you were taken from. And I don't know. The only thing, I must have missed something where they were like, we have to keep the secret. They can't know that we accidentally let him go, or not accidentally let him go, but like we failed our mission of keeping him or whatever. But we'll get back to that when we talk about, his ability to actually dive into the system and give orders or whatever. Funny line here too. I'm pretty sure this is probably intentional, but like I noticed that Anakin was talking to them, specifically I guess to Echo. Echo's going to try to stop the bomb. He runs out of the room and he says, if you can't stop the bomb, perhaps Trench can. Right? Was that it? Yes. If you can't stop the detonation, then perhaps Trench can. And I was like, wait a minute, where have I heard that wording before? And it took me a couple seconds, and maybe you've picked it up right now, or maybe you picked it up during the episode, but Vader in Return of the Jedi says to Luke, if you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will. And I gotta think that was intentional here, because it's Anakin that's saying it. It's almost like he says, yes, it's almost like they're saying that's how Anakin speaks. He speaks like that. This is kind of a foreshadowing thing. Like I said, like I'll read it again just so you kind of get the picture. He says, if you can't stop the detonation, then perhaps Trench can. He just says that and he runs out the room. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a little Easter egg maybe. There's railings all over that elevator, all over the place, railings everywhere. Mace Windu opens a railing door, walks through it, then jumps over the next. Well, what's happening? Why are there railings in Star Wars all of a sudden? All right, I like this. I like this Anakin. This is Revenge of the Sith Anakin coming out, man. This is cool. This is him. I saw this in the trailer. They open up the door. He's got like the scrunchy eyes. I don't know if you know, they go in like this. And yeah, he's awesome. I said when I saw it in the trailer, I said, that's Vader. That's Vader Anakin, right? Coming out. And this episode delivers on that. He goes in there, he threatens him with the lightsaber, holds it up to his face, cuts off his arms essentially, like his legs, arms, whatever, cuts him off. I love that. And then, like cherry on the top, at the end, after he gets what he needs from the guy, granted he does try to kill him, he tries to like shock him or whatever, but Anakin's just like, nope. Oh, thanks a lot for everything you helped us out with. I love that. Just stabs him, no mercy, backs away. And he's like still alive. He's still like fumbling around, falls to the ground. You like basically watch him die. I'm like, to me, like, this is a little bit of like why people like the Clone Wars, because they're like, it's a kid show, but I literally just watched that dude get stabbed and the murderer like walking out of the room while he's still alive and suffering, and then literally dies on the floor. I don't know. That's Vader Anakin. That's very cool. All right, Crosshair. I see you. I know everybody's got to have their spot, but you running around sticking mirrors on the wall willy-nilly. Boop, boop, And then you want me to believe that you were like, watch this. I'm going to shoot that first mirror. In fact, I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to aim right at the droids for a couple seconds, then move over to the mirror, which almost serves no purpose because he knew the droids were coming down the hall. But he moves over to the mirror and he shoots the mirror, and he just so happens to be at the perfect angle that it reflects on every other mirror he's set down the hallways. No. But you know what? This is one of those things. Again, Clone Wars. It's for kids. It's whatever. It's cool. Just throw it away. Throw out the logic. Set it aside, and just think, yeah, he was that good. He was able to go through the mirrors all up over the wall, shot it, and he is just that is his special power. He is able to shoot a shot that is that massively accurate. Let's go with it. That's a cool character then. All right, so this is what I was talking about before. The end of this episode is Echo having to make a decision whether he wants to stay with the regs, I guess you could say, or stay with Rex, but or go with the Bad Batch. And he decides to go with the Bad Batch. But it's kind of one of those things. I'm thinking of Echo as like, okay, well, who is he? Oh, he's kind of a robot-y special person. He's not a normal clone anymore. He's had all these experiences. He probably doesn't fit in with the normal clones anymore. They're totally painting this picture. And he has a very special, unique ability which fits in perfectly with the Bad Batch, right? So they're like, hey, you've earned our trust. Why don't you, if you ever feel like joining our crew and becoming like the fifth member, we're open to that idea. You should contact us or whatever. The only thing that's tricky about this goes back to that same point before. If the Separatist army didn't know before, they know now that Echo has this ability and that whole thing has been compromised. That whole algorithm and him tapping in is no more. I'm trying to find some logic as to where Echo has any sort of value anymore with his particular special ability. And the only thing I can come up with is he still able to do things inside the computer, but just hide himself? Because obviously the way they were setting it up is he was supposed to be providing them with the statistics on what to do. But the way that he's doing it is by sending the information as if he was still on that planet, sending the information. I don't know. I just got to think there's some sort of special ability that he has to get into the computer and tell the computer to do different things, and just overlook the logic of they've figured out who he is and the fact that he's not like their special, unique thing anymore. I don't know. It's weird. But it is what it is, and he joins the Bad Batch, and it might just be one of those things where, like, we never hear from him again. I would like to see a comic or something of the Bad Batch at this point, because it would be really cool to see more missions and more things that they went on, and presumably maybe even end with what happened to the five of them during Order 66. I don't know where Echo stands as far as the chip in his head. Maybe it was removed. Maybe it was maybe it was removed by the Separatists or something. I don't know. Who knows? They went through a lot, so it would maybe be interesting to watch the Bad Batch turn on Echo in a comic or something. I don't know. I like the wrap of this story. I thought it was wrapped last episode, but we got one more. Maybe we get another. Maybe we get another after that. I don't know, but I'm interested to see where it goes. But I'm also at the same time kind of like, yo, get to the mall, get to the Ahsoka. Let's see I want to see that story too. So that's it. All right, well, that's it. Wrap on episode 4 of the Clone Wars fan show. If you guys like the video, please give it a like, consider subscribing. Star Wars Newsnet is the channel. We do a lot of Resistance broadcast stuff on here. Mondays and Thursdays, we're doing full hour-long podcasts where we're talking about the news, discussion, other stuff like that. Plus, there's so many other things that we do on the channel, including like rumor reviews. And Lacey does a show called Lacey's Outpost, where she's like talking about toys and other collection items and things like that. There's a lot that we do on the channel. Clone Wars Fan Show is one of them. Make sure you stay tuned every Friday to this exact show. It comes out, every Friday morning when the episodes drop. And please leave a comment as well. Let's talk Clone Wars. This is a good opportunity, a good space to come in here. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about the show. Let's work out all those little details and try to make sense of the story, and put in your predictions, other things like that. And no cheating on like the whatever pre-res stuff that they had before. I have seen that, but I'm staying true. I've forgotten most of it because it was a long time ago. So I didn't watch them. I'm watching the episodes with you, experiencing them how they were meant to be watched. So until the next one, I'll see you around.